all rejected ballots are usually found in the ballot box.
And it has been increasing astronomically since 1992.
Some of them are just putting the presidential paper into the parliamentary box.
Political parties are only interested in forcing people to go and vote when you haven't educated them on how to do it.
Elections are won at the polling station, not through prophecies.
Although the 34,427,414 population country in West Africa is known for its vibrant democracy and seen as a beacon of democratic governance in Africa, systems of electing presidents and legislators, including education on the proper ways of voting or casting one's ballot, seem not to be given the needed attention. This has over the years resulted in high numbers of spoiled or rejected ballots in elections. The consequences of this practice cannot be overemphasized, given that it affects the true reflection of an election to some extent, because the intention of the citizens in choosing a candidate are not realized due to spoiled or rejected ballots. The issue of rejected ballots pose a key challenge to the electoral process and Ghana's quest for democratic consolidation. Since 1992, there has been a phenomenal increase in the incidence of rejected ballots during elections, making it difficult for the wishes of the electorate to be known. In some cases, these rejected or spoiled ballot papers have amounted to percentages of the votes that are more than percentages garnered by some political parties. Some political analysts say there are instances where these rejected ballots are added to the votes of political parties to make them winners. Although Ghana is getting matured democratically, it is clear that individuals are getting confused with the voting process and need more and sustained education. The number of rejected ballots recorded in the first round of the 2008 presidential race, for instance, was unprecedentedly higher than ever, both in terms of percentages and in terms of figures. According to data from the Electoral Commission, as many as 205,438 ballots were rejected in the 2008 elections, which constituted 2.4% of total 8,671,272 votes cast. Theoretically, the rejected ballot paper placed third in the 2008 presidential race ahead of Dr. Papa Kwesi Indom of the Progressive People's Party (PPP), who placed third with 113,494. Indeed, the percentage of the rejected ballots far surpassed the combined performance of Dr. Edward Mahama of the People National Convention (PNC), Emmanuel Ansa-Entry of the Democratic Freedom Party (DFP), Thomas Wardbrew of the Democratic People's Party (DPP), Kwesi Amoafo-Yeboah, an independent candidate, and Kwabena J of the Reformed Patriotic Democratic Party. In short, if rejected ballots were a political party, they could boast of a steady increase in popularity ahead of the smaller parties since Ghana's return to multi-party democracy in 1992. Again, had the rejected ballots been valid, one of the two leading contestants, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of the NPP or Professor John Evans Atta Mills of the NDC, might have won the first round of the elections.
We are doing the best. We are doing the best. We are doing the best. You want to go outside, isn't it? Yes.
We have a little problem here. Some of them are just putting the presidential paper into the parliamentary box, and that one will create a problem for us.
What will you do about that?
What we will do when we open the box, we just put it aside because we count the presidential one first. When we count and they are bringing, we are going to count the parliamentary and we see it. We check whether if it is valid, we just add it to the person, the party, whatever it is.
I'm hoping that it doesn't happen to a lot of people, because I don't know how are they going to deal with it.
In the second round of the 2008 elections, total votes cast were 9,094,364, out of which 92,886, representing 1.02%, were declared invalid or rejected, while 9,001,478 were valid votes. Out of the total valid votes cast, the NDC won the elections with 4,521,032 votes, representing 52.23%. The NPP narrowly lost with 4,480,446 votes, being 49.77%. The elections were very close and keenly contested. Consequently, the issue of rejected ballots dominated discussions on radio stations and among many political analysts, given the fact that a little over 50% of the rejected ballots added to the NPP vote could have tilted the elections in their favor. This would have saved Ghana additional resources needed to organize a second, not to mention other weeks of political rivalry and tension between the NPP and NDC. While some may see spoiled ballots as a form of protest or expression of dissatisfaction with available choices or a voter apathy, the implications of this trend are far-reaching and consequential. Statistics from the Electoral Commission continue to reveal a steady increase in the number of spoiled ballots in Ghana's elections over the past decade. Data from the Electoral Commission indicated that in the 2008 elections, the Northern region recorded the highest rejected ballots of 29,371 out of the 822,113 total votes cast in the region, followed by Ashanti region with 28,156 rejected ballots out of the 1,705,441 total votes cast. Western region followed suit with 25,953 rejected ballots. Central region recorded 22,857 out of the 705,228 total votes cast. Bronca-Hafo region bagged 20,725 rejected ballots. Eastern region recorded 20,025 spoiled ballots. Next to follow was the Greater Accra region with 17,911 rejected ballots, followed by Upper East region with 14,606 rejected votes. Volta region was not an exception with the trend. The region recorded 14,398 out of the 679,286 total votes cast. Upper West region recorded 11,436 rejected ballots, which were the least rejected ballots recorded in the 2008 election. The narrative did not change in the subsequent electioneering year in 2012. The total rejected ballots amounted to 251,720 out of the 11,246,982 total votes cast. On the regional level, Northern region again recorded the highest rejected ballots with 34,978 out of the 1,014,956 total votes cast, followed by Ashanti region with 29,373 out of the 2,190,293 total votes cast. Bronca-Hafo region recorded 27,571 out of the 1,020,470 total votes cast. Western region again recorded 27,515 rejected ballots with 1,097,274. Central region followed with 26,360 rejected votes. Eastern region also recorded 25,673 rejected votes. The Volta region recorded 24,121 out of the 883,739 votes cast. Greater Accra region came up with 22,390 rejected ballots out of the 2,174,645. Upper East region also recorded 19,611 rejected ballots. The Upper West region again documented the least rejected ballots with 14,128 out of the 298,135 total votes cast. The trend continued in the 2016 elections with 167,349 spoiled ballots, constituting 1.5% of the total votes. This time, there was a reduction in the rejected votes compared to the previous elections. Again, on the regional level, Northern Region once more recorded the highest rejected ballots with 24,269 out of the 1,049,363 total votes cast. Western Region logged 20,363 rejected ballots, followed by Ashanti Region with 17,555 rejected ballots. Brankahafo Region recorded 17,327 rejected ballots. Greater Accra Region this time bagged 16,297 rejected ballots. The Upper East Region recorded 16,008. Central Region gathered 15,975 rejected ballots, followed by Volta Region with 15,436 rejected ballots. Next was Eastern Region with 15,257 rejected ballots. Again, the Upper West Region had the least rejected ballots with 8,862 out of the 295,019 total votes cast. In 2020, 6 regions were added to the 10 regions, making 16 regions, but this change did not reflect the narrative of rejected or spoiled ballots in the general election. This time, the country recorded a much staggering 314,901 rejected ballots, representing 2.3% out of the 13,434,361 total votes cast. On the regional level this time, the Ashanti region recorded the highest rejected ballots with 34,858 out of the 2,502,149 total votes cast, followed by Greater Accra region recording 34,528 out of the 2,637,036 total votes cast. Northern region placed third with 33,342 rejected ballots. Eastern region followed with 27,887 rejected ballots. Central region followed suit with 27,712 rejected ballots. Next was Upper East region with 24,193 rejected ballots out of the 542,905 total votes cast. Western region also gathered 21,937 rejected ballots out of the 885,377 total votes cast. Upper West region recorded 16,264 out of the 385,911 of the total votes cast. Volta region bagged 15,764 rejected ballots, representing 2.2%. Bono East region recorded 15,399 rejected ballots out of the 387,807 total votes cast. Bono region was next with 13,378 rejected votes out of the 515,963 total votes cast. Northeast region also recorded 11,264 out of the 550,387 total votes cast. Savannah region gathered 11,145 rejected ballots out of the 240,230 total votes cast. Western North region recorded 11,123 rejected ballots out of the 388,750 total votes cast. Oti region gathered 10,424 out of the 299,910 total votes cast. This time round, one of the new regions took over the least rejected ballots, which was the Ahafo region, with 5,683 rejected votes out of the 270,174 total votes cast. To delve more into the subject, it is important to be clear in our minds as to what constitutes rejected or spoiled ballots to avoid confusion.
When we say rejected ballots, these are ballot papers which have actually been marked, by voters, but they've been rejected because they are not conforming to the prescribed procedure of marking the ballot, and all rejected ballots are usually found in the ballot box.
In an interview with GBC News, the underlying reasons behind the increase in spoiled ballots in Ghana were highlighted.
Over the years, our problem in this country has been that of what? The rejected ballots. Those that find their way into the ballot box and are counted, but not added to anyone. And it has been increasing astronomically since 1992. From 1%, even less than 1% to 1%, 1.3, 1.6 across the years. So we've had a lot of rejected ballots occurring in our democracy. And I think somewhere in 2008, it was even the third force. People say the third political party. Apart from the NDC and the MPP, it got even the highest votes compared to the third person, which was Park Wesundum's political party. So historically, this has undermined our democracy in several ways. But where this is deliberately done, there may be explanations why ballots may be rejected. So ballots can be rejected, or rejected ballots may occur either as an act of deliberateness or it may just be an oversight. So where it is deliberately done, it could be as a result of what? Protest. So in time past, if you look at the literature, in some democracies where people were supposed to referendum, where people were supposed to endorse one issue against the other or one candidate against the other, people were compelled against their will to go out and vote. So when you live in a democracy or in a dictatorship where you are part of an ethnic minority group that has always been tortured, vindicated, undermined, and not allowed to participate, or you believe in a particular political party whose candidate has been what? Grossly disqualified from contesting the election or harassed and supporters are beaten, but you are forced to go out and vote. Or even you live in a situation where your party is not doing well and you think your party will lose, but you don't want not to go and vote, and people think that you didn't vote because the indelible ink will be marked on your finger if you go or you not go. So you want people to know that you have voted, but you didn't actually want to vote. So where people are compelled beyond their will or against their will to go out and vote, they may go, but they won't vote properly.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
The deliberate act of ballot rejection is a form of communication. It speaks to the duty bearer, it speaks to the political party leaders that people are actually not happy with you, especially where it happens in your stronghold.
Critically, when you look at it, in terms of regions, you may assume that the larger the population or the greater the population, voter population of a particular region, you anticipate that rejected ballots will be higher in those places. It has nothing to do with that. So basically, it speaks to the issue of literacy and education.
This whole thing about our elections and democracy, we assume everybody understands. The percentage of rejected ballot is sometimes higher than the total of all the other parties, or at least more than some of them. So it is becoming a big issue. And for me, one of the causes is our presumption that we know everything about the voting, when in fact we don't know. So political parties are only interested in busing people to go and vote when you haven't educated them on how to do it. So people go there, they get confused, and they put it anyhow.
According to the Deputy Director of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation at the Electoral Commission, Mr. Fred Tete, research indicates that many feel disconnected from mainstream political parties and candidates, leading them to reject the options presented to them on the ballot. As a result, they choose to spoil their votes as a way to voice their frustration and signal a desire for change. In many cases, they may not fully understand how to properly mark their ballots, leading to unintentional spoilage.
Sometimes it becomes so intriguing and then surprising. You go to Ghana Medical Council elections, and you found rejected ballot. Even the political parties, the political parties, the cream of the political parties, where you are doing executive elections, regional party elections, constituency party elections, for which these people, you see them as trainers who train their agent and what have you. We can't rejected ballots. In the regional political party primaries or elections, where there is a rejected ballot, where somebody has decided to vote for the two candidates, what does it tell you? What it tells you is that either the voter has gone for money, or has gone for something, or has received favor from both candidates, and therefore I'm voting for both of you. You don't understand why at that level. So all those things speaks to that.
Political analysts said if a significant portion of the electorate choose to spoil their vote, it may result in a fragmented and polarized political environment, making it challenging to achieve consensus and promote national unity. This could have long-term repercussions for the country's stability and governance.
The difference between a democracy and a non-democratic regime is the ability of the people to elect who leads them. No matter how flawed the process is, the people still have a say in determining who leads them. So, for you to have a democracy that is mature, it basically has to do with how accurate and credible the process is, but how well informed the people who are voting are. So that's the reason why voter education and voting right and not getting it wrong are all important. It raises the bar of your electoral practices, and you are respected widely among the league of other democratic countries. Where this is lacking and there are suspicion, people's confidence in the government reduces, and that indirectly reduces people's ability to undertake their civic responsibilities. They won't participate in any state activities, they won't even be willing to pay their taxes, and all those things will undermine the collective governance process. So it's very important that we get things right, and people who have suffered, we make sure that their vote counts. If their vote doesn't count, then it has a huge implication on their ability to come out and vote in the next elections. So broadly, you also stand out in the league of democratic countries. People respect you and people think that you are doing things right. So it's a kind of holistic engagement with all stakeholders that matter: our development partners, our civic education institutions, our electoral education institutions, political parties who are the direct beneficiaries, and the citizens in whose hands sovereignty is reposed to be able to determine who leads them and who doesn't lead them. So it's a kind of collective package.
We heard from Ghanaians across the country who shared their perspectives on the phenomenon of spoiled ballots and its implications for the future of democracy in Ghana. Some citizens expressed their concerns about the impact of invalid votes on the electoral process and called for greater engagement and participation in shaping the country's political future.
At times, illiteracy counts a lot. And then lack of the EC educating people personally, one-on-one education counts. Because, for instance, they do the education on TV. For instance, my TV is fault. I'm here 24/7. I go home around 10 to 11. When I go home, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. I don't watch TV. But at least on that day, if there is somebody there to educate us, when you go, if this is the person you are voting, person A, person B, person C, thumbprint in this box, this particular box. Don't thumbprint on the person's face. When you finish thumbprinting, clean your hands before folding it. I don't think we'll get rejected ballot. So, with my opinion, I would prefer the EC get people at various posts to educate them. When they're giving the ballot paper to you, they to educate you. Do that before you fold. I don't think at the end of the day we'll even get one single rejected paper.
Mi fun ye mi. Moko ye ni bi nwo mi la. No aka lila kesa ne ya vote we ba ya se je le wo ya bo ablu. We ba fitele. Mi fun mi le che se ko na kan fe dun mo. Sin chake dun mo. Because e vote e here. Lo ma kwa money bo moden. Alo money ba bo moden. Money ba fe no ni ba wa mi. Ni ma vote ma hale.
Mama to can say electoral commission for no more young adwuma ye. Because sina mebla na kan no ye independent ni mo ma enti mo workers or hwa omo ye adwuma ho. Let's say time bedui send the workers to the house but ukita paper no e bia paper ukita no friend say ma wa me ane dia wa ha ma ma dia wa ha we chechire wo mo mami yaba sine okwan we ne fa so ye to aba no enti na yaba ya be chiro and wo chire ni pele ti say school wo chire na okọ no obi a onim wo ma no okọ no say ye be chire no say we na me penasma mento ma no obi ho onim okọ ya say ni pele odi be si na nim budo de kesi na chi na wa say no
obi o ma on say abato na ase obi so ma adwon gban na eye no obato wa say
eba me side dia na medwen se ema ne basa ne se enchechire no enkum kesi eye oma omobo de rufa abato ho ne omo kire kwan efa so to aba no ewo so omo yire omo ho na omo eba be cheche ye nyina vi se ye nyina na yakosuku obi ho kra na obey tom print na wo de be ma no se ne wo so obobo no kra na obobo no different te na koto obi ani mo be wi ahye na rejected bible te me ma dwen se so mo be man cheche no edimu a sa no ma no e be free ho
Sana ya ka ya run sana to advocating na ka me ko na me na boni amba fon amba stamp wo lo emi ha keke fe fan onu eyan wa eyan ni lose of vote e ka kan last na 20 na kan e ko kwa edition wa kwa 2000 ona e fachon wo ka advocate ame e ba wa.
The consequences on the rising trend of spoiled ballots are particularly significant as Ghana approaches the 2024 December elections. With the potential for a large number of invalidated votes, there is a risk of undermining the credibility and legitimacy of the electoral outcomes. But then, how can the increase in spoiled ballots have implications on the political landscape in Ghana?
One of the aspects of quality is to have a clean, free, fair elections. And that is a huge mark of what legitimacy. When you finish voting and there are no reasons for people to dent the image of the processes. No people were killed, there wasn't rigging and those it adds up to the credibility of the government that is elected. And credibility or legitimacy allow for citizens to obey you and to respond to your needs and your calls. When you win with a huge margin, it gives you that pride and confidence to be able to do whatever you want to do, and you see that majority of Ghanaians have reposed confidence in you. Where this is minimal, it speaks to the volume and level of maturity of our democracy, because political education is an integral aspect of what electoral politics, and one of the heartbeat of participatory democracy. or liberal democracy is participation. And the best form of participation in liberal democracy is the act of voting. The people having the right to choose who lead them and at what point in time.
In order to decrease the percentage of rejected ballots in our electoral process, there is the need to be well informed about the whole electoral process.
You must make sure that there is the validating stamp at the top, at the back of the ballot paper, at the top where you have the instructions and then the serial number. At the back of that ballot paper, there should be the validating stamp. When you're marking the ballot paper, these are the pictures of the candidate, and these are the symbols of the candidate. This is the portion where you are instructed to thumbprint. Okay, you thumbprint only one place. However, because all those demarcation, this row belongs to that candidate, when you thumbprint on the picture, you thumbprint on the symbol, or you thumbprint here as prescribed or as provided, is still valid. It's counted as valid, whether on the picture, on the symbol, or in the empty space provided.
Usually, when you receive the ballot, the official will fold it like this before giving it to you. Once he gives it to you, you go into the booth, you place it, you open it up on the pedestal that has been provided, and then you make sure that if there are any, if your fingers or hands are dirty, if you have a handkerchief, please clean it. And normally they provide a tissue in the booth, so you can use it. You pick it up and then clean your hands very well, especially the indelible ink that might have been put on your finger. You make sure that you clean it very well. Then you dump it. Then now you put your finger on the ink or in the ink, and if I'm permitted, I will stand so that I can do this properly. And then you vote this way. It's two things. You can either vote this way. So you see that it's completely within the box. It doesn't touch any of the border lines of the box. So this is a correct vote. Now, in trying to vote, let's say you touch your paper, you touch your ballot paper, and already you can see smears on it. Then you now come and vote. This is a spoiled ballot because you have smears on it over here. You see, you can see smears on it over here because I didn't clean my fingers before coming to vote. So even though I got my thumb within the borders correctly, because there are smears over here, it can easily create a problem. And we know how our political parties are suspicious of each other, and therefore this can bring problem. It will be rejected, definitely. Then another example is that in an attempt to vote, then you put it on the borderline. When it's on the borderline, we don't know whether it belongs to the box above or to the box below, and therefore it will be rejected. Or you vote for more than one person, it will definitely be rejected. Yes. So anything like this is a rejected, it's a spoiled ballot. But if you see it and you don't put it in the ballot box and you return it, then it becomes a spoiled ballot. But if you put it in the ballot box, it will definitely be rejected.
Relevant stakeholders say there is a need for increased voter education efforts to ensure that citizens are equipped with the knowledge and skills to participate effectively in the electoral process.
The new voters, we have asked them, we have registered them. The next time they say, go and vote. Did you tell them how this process is? What is it about? So those who are interested in basing them, you are not interested in educating them about how to vote. All that they say is that we should go and vote. So he gets there, get confused, and that's anything at all. We should have special programs for them, and not just that go and register and we forget about them.
So political parties must even do it without due consideration to what the EC or the NCC may be doing, because they are the direct agencies that benefit from the processes. But the EC and the NCC, they have a civic responsibility to educate. It's part of their civic constitutional responsibility to provide education to Ghanaians on a whole lot of issues, including how to vote during elections.
First-time voters, especially people who recently registered, my message to them is that they have finally been welcomed into a class of citizens. You know, political rights are reserved for only citizens 18 years and above. And since they've turned 18 years, it means that now they are matured. They have to come and join us, do what we have been doing for the past 30 years. They shouldn't come and muddy the waters for us. They shouldn't come and do anything untoward. They should make sure that they educate themselves and inform themselves about the electoral process so that when they go to vote that day, they will conform. They should know also that it's a very, very important exercise and therefore they should attach importance to it. The voter ID card is for them. They should not give it to anybody at all, and nobody has any right to collect it from them. They should also know that it's actually a criminal offense to be in possession of another person's voter ID card. Now, even on voting day, when you forget your ID card, it doesn't mean that you cannot vote. Luckily, we have a biometric register. You can still go out there and vote. We are a very religious country. We believe in our pastors because they bring out messages from the Bible and from God. But do not listen to the prophecies. Elections are won at the polling station, not through prophecies. Because the danger is that when the pastor prophesies and the candidate does not win, his followers might think something untoward has happened, and that can actually degenerate into violence. I want to advise that let us eschew vote buying, because if you indulge in that, you may get your 200 or 2,000 today. But what you have done is that you have sold your right to criticize or to hold a politician to account. And the politicians are then empowered. They become tin gods. They know that with everything, once I give them two cedis, they will keep quiet. And that means that they are taking the electorate for granted.
The Tata jacket is a kind of a hardcover card, right, that allows the voter to vote, the visually impaired voter to vote independently, because we realize that over time, the law allows them to come with a person that they confide in into the polling booth to vote for them. They will tell the person, I want you to vote for this candidate or that, and the people vote. But it came to a time that they themselves don't trust whether there's people who are accompanying them into the polling booth, okay, mark the right choice. So the commission came out to that novel idea of designing what we call the Tata jacket. Okay, so the Tata jacket, the same ballot paper that is issued at the polling station is slotted into the Tata jacket, and the Tata jacket has a kind of knobs that allows them to fill the knobs. Knob 1 for candidate 1, knob 2 for candidate 2, and that. Okay. So the knobs, if a candidate 1, there will be one knob against the opening, okay, for the person to vote, and then candidate 2 have 2 knobs. Candidate 3 would have 3 knobs. So when they fill the count of the knob, they know where that candidate is, and it allows them to vote independently without the ballot paper being rejected.
The statistics from past elections serve as a stark reminder of the importance of ensuring a fair and transparent electoral process that truly represents the will of the Ghanaian people. As Ghana stands at a crossroads leading up to the December 7 elections, the impact of rejected ballots on the nation's democratic dispensation cannot be underestimated. Political analysts say, through dialogue, education, and collaboration, Ghanaians can overcome this challenge and reaffirm their commitment to a free, fair, and credible electoral process. The future of the country's democratic journey depends on the collective efforts of its citizens in upholding the principles of democracy and shaping a future where every vote is heard and counted. Through Void Voices, we aim to raise awareness about the rising trend of rejected ballots in Ghana and spark a conversation on how to address this critical issue before the 2024 December 7 elections.